Okay, let's shift focus on to this. Parliament Section 194 inquiry probing Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane's fitness to hold office has been put on ice. The decision comes after Mkhwebane's legal fees to support her for representation were depleted. The committee will now allow a process to get funds for Mkhwebane's legal team. We're now joined by the committee chairperson, Richard Dyantyi. Thank you very much, sir, for your time this afternoon. What led to the decision to put the inquiry on hold?
Thank you, Duduzile. Good afternoon to you and Newzroom viewers. Maybe let me put it proper. We are on a short break as the Section 194 committee. I indicated that when we concluded the committee session on Tuesday for the following reasons: that from the 3rd to the 17th of May, which is what we call constituency period, where members are supposed to go and work in their communities, we continued as a committee a couple of days. This week, that ends tomorrow. It's a week designed for what we call oversight committees, where you, as part of the Justice Committee, as an example, I'm supposed to be in the Northern Cape, visiting courts, the prisons, and the Master's Office. Next week is a leave week for all members. And so we have taken a break, and we also want to allow that break, that by the time we conclude that break, we would have switched on the issue of the legal cost that is being worked on. So, and I indicated to members that they must be on standby. We might have to call them even on their leave to come back once we were able to issue a revised program pending the finalization of the cost. So anytime we can continue, because we have a deadline. We have been given now up until the end of May to conclude our work, and it's quite possible, because it corresponds with the timelines we have. With Advocate Mkhwebane and their legal team, we have 4 days remaining for them to give testimony. And you have got 6 days, one to give the evidence leaders, that makes you 10. You've got another 3 days for members, 3 days or so for closing arguments for both teams, another 10 days of a draft report where we'll ask Advocate Mkhwebane to comment on. That gives us about 30 plus kind of days, which works well with what is expected of us to table a report at the end of May. So this gives us a kind of a recharging period, if I may put it that way.
Okay, makes sense. You mentioned the issues of legal costs on the part of Advocate Mkhwebane being dealt with currently. Who is dealing with those issues? And should you come back from break and that issue is not dealt with, will you still be proceeding with the work of the committee without Advocate Mkhwebane and her legal representatives?
Well, we're very confident because I account to various committees. The Speaker's office is our highest office that is seized with this matter, and they deal with the relevant role players that are supposed to play this role, whether it's the Justice Department, the Public Protector South Africa itself, and I'm kept abreast of the developments, which I will not share here now. But when I indicated on Tuesday that when we resume next, it will be a resumption of the inquiry and also to plan a conclusion of that. So the next session we're going to get, or a meeting, it will be about when we resume that inquiry, and which could be any days, but we will be able to communicate that.
Okay. You had on a number of occasions mentioned that you are continuing with the work of the inquiry in spite of Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane's legal representatives being absent, and at times herself being absent, because you wanted evidence leaders to empower the committee in terms of the process and the evidence. How is that going, or how did that fare? Did you manage to achieve that in the little bit of time before the break?
We certainly did do, perhaps just to clear the confusion. We were continuing because at the end of March, 31st of March, as we started on the 3rd of April, I indicated that we had paused on the inquiry, and then we started a committee process where the committee was taken through, and I invited evidence leaders who are there at the behest of the committee to present the merits of what has already been presented to us, whether it's court judgments, as well as a 6-day presentation of the public protector of her testimony, which included 2 charges. The charge of CR17 and Bosasa, as well as the rogue unit or Godan and Pillay matters. So when we started as a committee now, not as an inquiry, we were very clear, which is a committee of parliament. The plan was to empower the members of the committee to understand fully the extent of a 6 days kind of presentation. And by Tuesday, the indication by members of the committee, and even a week before that, was that it's been very helpful that we did this exercise. Also remember, Dudu, this is a novel process, a pioneering process. We have no reference. And so far, I think I'm very happy that we have been very diligent, focused, without doing things in any wrong way. I'm aware that the public protector is not happy. I don't know why she's not happy, because the committee it's within its own right to deal with its own internal issues, but also to invite the evidence leaders to make them understand better and unpack the veracity of the testimony that has been placed. It's been very useful, and I hope not only for the members, but also for the members of the public who would have watched over the few days that we did that exercise.
Sure. Mr. Dyantyi, you say you are aware that the public protector is not happy, but you don't know why she isn't happy. In fact, we spoke to the public protector on the channel on Sunday, and she was worried about the attitude, the perceived attitude from your end in dealing with her. More so the incident when you asked that she be muted, she felt that was unprovoked, and there were a number of instances where she's also pointed out that she does not feel comfortable with you chairing this meeting because, I guess, impartiality is not there.
Yes, Dudu, I listened to your show. I connected with it. She basically was repeating also old issues, because she went to court asking for my recusal and that of another member. And when you spoke with her, you were speaking about the court outcome, and the court has made an outcome. But even before that, she would have raised issues of irrationality, unlawfulness of the committee, its invalidness and unconstitutionality, and those matters were taken to court, and the courts would have made judgments on those. At this point, there's no court that has indicated that what we're doing is unlawful, is unconstitutional, and is invalid, even when she went to the highest court of the land, the Concord. Perhaps it's inherent in the nature of this process, because I was hoping that she will be looking forward to take the stand, exonerate herself, because I believe that up to this point, I've been very patient and very fair in the process with all of the imperfections and challenges of the process. But whenever she's not happy, I have welcomed the fact that she's got another platform to go to, and one of those platforms is the court, and we've got so many off-ramps of this process, and largely because of her from time to time taking off and going to court, and every time the court pronounce and we are found to be in a correct path of doing things.
Mr. Dyantyi, just maybe finally for us, you mentioned that the committee's work, you've got a deadline of the end of May. Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane's term comes to an end in October. So by then, will she have known and would there have been a decision that has been not maybe a decision, but a conclusion that has been reached by the committee before her term comes to an end?
Certainly. If we table a report to the National Assembly at the end of May or first few weeks in June, that report has got two possible outcomes. One outcome is for us to say to the National Assembly, having gone through this process, listen to evidence and scrutinize that evidence and deliberated on it, we're coming to a conclusion that Advocate Mkhwebane is fit to hold office, and therefore she continues. The second possible outcome for us to say we make findings, and these findings are that she's not fit to hold office, and therefore make those kind of recommendations, in which case she gets to be removed from office. The issue of her contract ending in October, it's something we have in the back of our minds in terms of the timelines that we need to, but we have no control about. There's a contract. The contract is ending in October. The Justice Committee that I'm also part of is soon going to begin a process of advertising. They're giving themselves about 4 or 5 months advertising for the new public protector, regardless of the outcome of this process.
Thank you very much, sir. Unfortunately, that's all the time we can afford this afternoon. For joining us, Mr. Richard Dyantyi is the committee chairperson looking into the fitness of Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane to hold office.